Good morning. Today is Monday, April 27th, and we are ready to multiply decimals. I am excited about this lesson because I think you are going to be superstars at this. I think you are going to breeze through this and get to the end and say, wow, why did I ever think that doing something like multiplying decimals would be difficult? Because it is not. Okay, so the first thing I want to make sure you understand before we move on to the page is that when we think multiplying, a lot of times we think that the answer is going to be bigger at the end. So if I multiply 3 times 4, I get 12, that's bigger. But when you're doing that with decimals, remember what we said in fractions, that when we multiplied fractions, we said of, that we want to take 1/4 of half. And when we do that, it actually gets smaller. So it's the same thing happening here. And we're going to see this on the grids that they give you on the page. So if we start with 4/10, we started with 3/10 because we're taking 1/4 of 3/10. So we start with 3/10 this way, and then we're going to color in 4/10 this way. Whatever overlaps is our answer. And do you see that the overlap is smaller than what we started with? Because when we multiply decimals, we're doing the idea that I said earlier with fractions of. So 4/10 of 3/10. So we're taking a part of a part, which is going to get smaller, not bigger. So 12/100 is smaller than 4/10 and 3/10. Okay? Now, let's look at the grids that they give us here, 1, 2, and 3. Use 2 colors to shade the parts to show the multiplication. Solve with write the decimal equation in fraction form. Okay, so we have several parts to this, and I'm going to change my colors. I'm going to get a red for the first part. Now, this problem is 5/10 of 4/10. So we want to color in the 4/10 going down this way. So I'm going to color in 4 of these rows. That's 4/10. Now, I'm going to pick another color, and I'm going to go this way. So now I want 5/10. So I'm going to color in 5 this way. 4, 5. Now my answer is this section here that overlaps. Okay? And if I count how many is in that, I will get 20. So it is 20 out of 100, 20 hundredths after I multiply. Now, if I were to just look at the fraction or the decimal, could I have multiplied 5 times 4 and just put it behind that decimal? Absolutely, okay? But they're wanting you to see the picture here so that you can make the connection in your mind of why it works that way, okay? Now, here's also the connection to the fraction. So we know how to multiply fractions. We've already done that. So 5 times 4 is 20, and the denominator stays the same. So if I've got 5/10 and 4/10 and I multiply them, I get 20 hundredths. I'm sorry, the denominator does not say the same. They've changed it already to hundredths. We multiply straight across, top and bottom. So we get 20 hundredths. Okay, now let's do this one. So 6/10 of 7/10. So that means that, I keep freezing, 7/10 is going to come down this way. So I'm going to color in 7 of these rows, 3, 4. Yours should look neater than mine. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's 7 rows. Now I'm going to change my color, and I'm going to do 6 rows this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you look at what overlapped, and if you look at what overlapped, that should be 42, right? Because we're going to multiply the 6 times the 7 and put it behind a decimal, 42 hundredths. Now let's fill in the fractions. So this should be 6 tenths times 7 tenths equals 42 hundredths, because we multiplied straight across, and that's the same as what we got when we did the decimals. Okay, all right, let's look at the third grid together. So this is 2 tenths of 9 tenths. Okay, so 9 tenths is going to come this way first. So we're really going to fill in everything, right? Except for that last. So I'm just going to kind of color all of this in. Okay, now I want a different color, and I'm going to go the other way, and I only need to do 2 tenths of that. So whatever overlaps is my answer, and all I have to do is multiply that 2 times the 9 and stick it behind the decimal, and it should be 18 hundredths. So if I write it in fraction form, that's 2 tenths times 9 tenths, and I know how to do that already. That should be 18 hundredths. Okay, got it? See how we're just multiplying? We're sticking it behind that decimal. It's the same as what we did with fractions, because decimals and fractions are the same thing. Okay, so let's look towards the bottom of your page, which is even easier. Okay, now here's the trick that I told you the other day. When you're multiplying decimals, you multiply ignoring the decimal part. Then at the end, you count how many numbers have been behind a decimal, top and bottom, okay, both numbers. And that's how many numbers need to be behind a decimal in your answer. So look at their example. There was 1 number behind a decimal here, and there was 1 number behind a decimal here. So that makes 2 decimal places. So in their answer, they moved the decimal place over twice, okay, going that way, and put the decimal there. Don't bring it straight down when you multiply. You bring it straight down when you add and subtract, but not when you multiply, okay? So here, I'm going to type, that's easier for me. So here, all I have to do is 9 times 3 is 27. And then when I put my decimal in, there's 2 numbers behind the decimal, so I know that my decimal needs to go right there in front of the 27. 9 times 3 is 27. 2 numbers, there it is. Okay, so what about here? 6 times 8 is 48. The 8 is behind the decimal, and so is the 6. That means that I need 2 numbers behind a decimal, and so my answer is going to be 48 hundredths. Okay, 7 times 4 is 28. 2 numbers are behind a decimal, so I'm going to come up here and put my decimal right there. 2 times 5 is 10, and both numbers should be behind a decimal. Okay, now they give you more numbers down here, but you do it the same as you've always done it, okay? So 8 times 7 is 56. So you put the 6 down, and you carry your 5 above that 1 over there. My green bar's in the way. 8 times 1 is 8, plus that 5 we carried is 13. Now, how many numbers need to be behind a decimal? There's 2 numbers here behind a decimal. 1, 2. We're going to come right here and put our decimal right there. Okay, so we should have 1 and 36 hundredths. So here, I'm going to start with 4 times 2 is 8. And then the 4 times the 3 is 12. I put the 2 down and I carry the 1. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. There are 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal, which means in my answer, I need 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal. Okay? So look at 2 times 8. 2 times 8 is 16. I carry the 1 over here. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 1 I carried is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, I look at my number. There are 1, 2 numbers behind a decimal. So 1, 2, put my decimal. Are you getting the hang of it? Okay, 7 times 5 is 35. So I put my 5, I carry my 3 over there. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. I put my 0 down, carry my 1. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Now I look at my problem. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal. 1, 2, 3, decimal. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15. I put my 5, I carry my 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Now, here is where we have 2 layers, right? This is going to get messy on my screen. So remember what we do is we go to the second row and we automatically put a 0, right? Now we go 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. And I don't need to do that 1 times 0. I'm going to add and I get 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry my 1. 325. Don't forget the decimals. Go up here. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind a decimal. 3 numbers behind a decimal. Okay? What about this one? 5 times 4 is 20. Carry my 2. 5 times 6, 30 plus 2 is 32. Go to the second row, put a 0. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 6 is 6. Add 0, 6, 9. Count your decimals. 1, 2. Count over. 1, 2. Decimal. 9 and 60 hundredths. Okay, I hope you got it. It's really just multiplying and then at the end figuring out where your decimal goes by counting how many numbers are behind a decimal. Now, the back of the page is what we did on the front with the grid and the multiplying, okay? It's the same exact thing. So let's look at what they've done at the top for us. So it says, follow the steps to find the product. Color 7/10 vertically, which means up and down. Okay, like this, that's vertically. Color 5/10 horizontally. And count the hundredths that are colored both red and blue. What is the product? So here, 5 times 7, 35 hundredths. So that's what we would write in the answer. So I want you to do 15 through 19 on your own because I think you're a pro at this by now. And If you need help with what to do on that grid, look at the top of this page right here. They just showed you and they broke it down into steps. Or you can look back on the front where we did it together with 1, 2, and 3. Okay, in the comments below, I just want you to I want you to pick any of these problems, okay? And pick 15 through 19, pick one of them. So you could pick 15, write the problem out underneath, and give me the answer. If you see 15 already on the screen, do 16, write the problem out, give me the answer. Now, I know some of you are going to have to repeat, and that's fine, but I want to see, I would like to see everyone pick something different until we've taken them all, and then you can repeat. So just pick one problem, write the answer down for me. Have a good day.